Hey, welcome back, ScreenCrush. I'm Ryan Airy. Captain America Brave New World just revealed that Adamantium is in the MCU and it comes from the Celestials. And this changes everything for Avengers Doomsday because we believe that Adamantium will be part of Dr. Doom's plan to take over the multiverse. So, everyone assumes that Avengers Doomsday and Secret Wars will be direct adaptations of the Secret Wars comics. And we're talking about the 2015 version. The story is about the multiverse ending and Dr. Doom creating a reality that he rules like a god. Now, this will probably happen in Avengers Secret Wars. But Doomsday will be very different, and we think that we know what story will inspire the movie. So we have a huge theory on what Dr. Doom is planning to do with Adamantium and why the MCU is connecting the indestructible metal to the Celestials. And we believe that Doom might have been part of the MCU for a lot longer than you think, and he has been pulling the strings from the shadows during the multiverse saga. And Doom's plan will be revealed in Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, because the Red Hulk will be part of the new evil team of villains, the Dark Avengers. So all of this connects to Adamantium, the Celestials, and how Dr. Doom is planning to take over the multiverse and create his own reality in Secret Wars.
Just when I think my dream of nerdy life can't get any more complete, I hear Harrison Ford say Adamantium.
Okay, first things first. In case you missed it, the Comic-Con footage for Captain America Brave New World reveals that Thunderbolt Ross got his hands on some adamantium. That is the indestructible metal that Wolverine's skeleton is made of, and it's even stronger than vibranium.
Prove me wrong, kids. Prove me wrong.
So, in the MCU, adamantium comes from the Celestials. In the Eternals, Tiamat was growing inside the Earth's core for millions of years, and the Celestial was going to hatch and destroy the planet in a process called the Emergence. Circe in the Eternals put the Eternal to sleep by turning his body into marble. Now, the movie underperformed and didn't get much love, so the MCU kind of pulled the plug on anything related to that film. We're likely not going to get an Eternal sequel.
The great adventurer, Star Fox.
He ain't gonna be in Rush Hour 3.
But now, the Celestials are at the very center of Brave New World, since adamantium comes from Tiamat. And I guess that's appropriate because you can't spell adamantium without the same letters that spell out Tiamat. And I guess that means that the Celestials are made of this indestructible metal. So why is that such a big deal then? Well, because this is a huge departure from the comics. Adamantium is a man-made alloy, and it has nothing to do with the cosmic gods. But it's not a coincidence, and this change from the comics could be huge in the MCU. And what is also very interesting is that Brave New World will directly connect to the Thunderbolts, and based on the D23 footage, we are getting the Dark Avengers. They're a team of villains pretending to be the Avengers, and I really love everything that we saw from these two movies. There's those clear Winter Soldier and Civil War vibes.
Global power is shifting. You're just a pawn.
There seems to be an overarching story focusing on Earth-based conflicts, but it's unclear when and if we are going to see the culmination of this story. There just isn't enough time in Phase 6. So we looked closely at all the footage from Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, and we think we know where the MCU is going with this. This is all part of their overhaul, and it's the reason why RDJ is back to play Dr. Doom. Speaking of RDJ back, you know, at our merch store we have these fun new shirts. We have Somehow RDJ Returned and Robert Downey Jr. in the Obama poster, but it says Doom at the bottom. This is in addition to all the other great stuff we like designing for you guys at our merch store. The links for those are below. The story of Brave New World and the Thunderbolts is also going to tie into Fantastic Four, and all of this sets up a very cool plot for Avengers Doomsday. And the adamantium is the key to Dr. Doom's plan. And Doom's plan is how the new Avengers will assemble in Doomsday. And then they will team up with the multiversal heroes in Secret Wars. This theory has some layers, so I'm going to take you on one hell of a ride with this one, but trust me, it'll all make sense by the end of the video.
Hold on to your butts.
The title Avengers Doomsday can really mean anything. In the comics, there is a story titled Heroes Reborn Doomsday, although it's mostly a non-consequential one-issue story that is part of the Heroes Reborn storyline. Now, this was a failed attempt to reboot Marvel's continuity, but you know, it didn't work. But when Marvel announced Avengers Doomsday, we immediately thought about one of the coolest Doom stories from the comics, and it's Doom War. So, here's the short version of the plot. Doom incites a civil war in Wakanda. He supports a group of fundamentalists who reject T'Challa's revealing Wakanda's true nature to the world, similar to what we got at the ending of Black Panther. Doom uses the civil war to steal all of Wakanda's vibranium, but he didn't want to just conquer the world with vibranium. You see, if a magic user infuses vibranium with magic, then they could become as powerful as a god. And in case you didn't know, Doom is a very powerful sorcerer. At times even stronger than Doctor Strange, and he's also a brilliant scientist. He's the second smartest man alive right after Reed Richards. So why are you talking about Doom War? Well, based on the trailers for Captain America Brave New World and the Thunderbolts, it looks like the MCU is giving us a version of Doom War in Avengers Doomsday. Now, Doom stealing something to become a god is kind of his thing in the comics. In both versions of Secret Wars, Doom steals some cosmic power to become a god. and he also does this in Doom War. So something like this will happen in Doomsday.
But how will he gain godlike powers in the movie?
Well, this is why the MCU is connecting Adamantium to the Celestials. We believe that Marvel will give those magical attributes that Vibranium has in the comics to Adamantium. But before we break down Doom's plan, I first got to explain what kind of Victor Von Doom we're going to be getting in the MCU, because this will connect to the Adamantium and the Dark Avengers. And in fact, we believe that Doom has been around the MCU for a while.
Wait, he's not from another universe? I thought he was a variant.
He is. Doom is from another universe. However, we believe that at some point Doom teleported to Earth 616, that is the main MCU continuity, and he's behind many conflicts that happen in the Multiverse saga. So we've made a few videos about Dr. Doom recently, and we explained his origins in those videos. So here's the really short version of it. Victor Von Doom was born in Latveria. His people were a nomadic clan, and his mother, Cynthia, was a witch. The Baron of Latveria was cruel to Victor's people, so Cynthia made a deal with Mephisto, Marvel's version of the devil, to gain power against the Baron. But the spell went wrong, Mephisto stole Cynthia's soul, and Victor's people were hunted down and killed. Ever since then, Victor was obsessed with gaining the power to save his mom from hell. He dedicated his life to becoming a brilliant scientist and a powerful magic user. But Doom also cannot get over the injustice that was committed against his family and his people. And it's not about revenge, it's about how his people literally suffered and died. And the Baron got away with it like so many other evil tyrants throughout history. But rather than taking the hero's path, Victor decides that he will create a world with no tyrants, a world where he is the one in charge of keeping the peace and safety. And the only way to achieve that is to become a god.
That what we needed was a pseudo-armor around the world. Remember that? Whether it impacted our precious freedoms or not.
Now, the MCU's Doom is most likely going to originate from another universe like the Fantastic Four. They come from this retro timeline where it's the future, but it's also the 1960s. Now, like in the comics, Victor and Reed Richards became frenemies when they were students. Victor and Reed have this rivalry that is rooted in jealousy and respect. So this is crucial for Doom's story because he needs to have a history with Reed and the Fantastic Four. When Victor was in the university, he built a machine that will send him to hell so he could save his mom. In the comics, the machine blew up and his face was scarred. He blamed Reed, and this put him on the path to becoming Dr. Doom. But here's where our story diverges from the comics. Victor combined magic and technology for his machine. So he tapped into the multiverse by accident, and instead of being transported to hell, he was thrown into the multiverse, ending up on Earth 616. And let me tell you why this works so well. Because in our version, Victor and Reed work together on this machine despite their differences. So when Victor disappears, Reed becomes obsessed with understanding the multiverse. In fact, in the Fantastic Four First Steps trailer that was released at D23, Reed begins the entire trailer by talking about the multiverse to a classroom at the Future Foundation. So Victor also becomes obsessed with the multiverse, and he blames Reed for what happened to him. Now, because Victor is so vain, he can never admit his own faults. It's a core aspect of his character.
I don't make mistakes. I'm stronger. I'm smarter. I'm better.
So when did he arrive in the MCU?
Well, I would say somewhere between Age of Ultron and Infinity War. So, after the accident, Victor is at his lowest. His face is ruined, his life goal is wasted, and he is trapped in another universe.
I'm fed up with this world.
And then he turns on the news and sees the Avengers, so he gets obsessed with them. But while people see the Avengers as heroes, Victor calls them morons.
Why?
Because in his mind, the Avengers have the gifts of the gods, but from his point of view, they are wasting their powers on cheap heroics. They don't make the world better or safer. Their world-saving antics are temporary and reactionary, and at times even counterintuitive.
Do you really think fate turned us into gods so we could refuse these gifts?
And Victor hates Tony the most.
Because every MCU villain needs to have a grudge against Iron Man?
Yes, but also because they have the same face. And Victor is very vain, so the idea that one of these morons looks like him is an insult. So just imagine how he felt when Tony held the power of the Infinity Stones, the power of the gods, and he wasted it on dusting Thanos and his army. Doom would have done so much more with that kind of power, and he wouldn't die like a weakling. So Victor becomes obsessed with proving that he can do better than the Avengers. But again, the only way the world can be truly safe is if he is in total control over the planet. So Victor becomes Dr. Doom.
To establish a perfectly content, perfectly ordered world, all under the benevolence of my iron will.
Okay, person, but How does all this connect to Wolverine's claws and the evil Avengers?
We're getting there. I just had to explain Doom's origin in our version. Now, some of you will say that we're overcomplicating Doom's story, and that might be true. The Multiverse saga is already so convoluted and contradictory that it does need to be oversimplified. But here's the thing, so much of this saga feels unconnected. And with Kang gone, there is no overarching villain that's going to tie everything together. Now compare this to Thanos. He was pulling the strings all the way back to the first Avengers movie. And while he wasn't behind every single thing, his presence did create a butterfly effect.
Thanos has been inside my head for 6 years, since he sent an army to New York, and now he's back.
For example, Thanos sends Loki to invade Earth, that's how the Avengers assemble. Then he's taken back to Asgard, stuff happens, and Loki exiles Odin and steals the throne. Then Hela returns and Asgard explodes, which leaves Thor and his people vulnerable to Thanos. And it's this awesome chain of events that starts with Thanos, and the same thing happens with Wanda's story. Thanos gives the Mind Stone to Loki, and then Hydra gets the scepter, and that's how Wanda activates her witch powers. But Ultron is also born from the Mind Stone, so then we have Vision too. Sokovia happens, and this leads to Civil War. The Avengers disassemble, so that's why they fail to stop Thanos in Infinity War. And then Thanos kills the Vision, Wanda goes crazy for a bit. You know, it's cause and effect. Thanos was the inception for all of it. Now, all of this was done naturally throughout the Infinity Saga. The Multiverse Saga doesn't have that, and since Marvel cannot rewind the clock, they can retroactively retcon the saga and add Doctor Doom as the looming presence that ties everything together.
Because you. All along it was you!
And here is how Doom has this domino effect on the Multiverse Saga. So fast forward to Infinity War and how Doom rises to power. For a long time, there's been a theory that in the MCU, Sokovia will become Latveria. We've even talked about this theory ourselves in our Doctor Doom All Along video we did a few months back, but we are not going to do that here today. The entire Central Southeastern Europe was an impoverished area of the world long before Thanos, but after the snap, it becomes a war zone. There's a bunch of warlords who rise to power and no one stops them since the remaining Avengers and the world government simply cannot contain the crisis that followed the snap. So there is war all over the place and countless refugees are left without hope. This includes all of those displaced Sokovians. Many of them are captured and forced into oppression. And this is where Doom appears. He liberates the oppressed refugees and brings down all these tyrants. And then he establishes Latveria in honor of his home country from his original universe. And then Doom becomes a tyrant himself. But Doom is smart, and he keeps a low profile to not attract the attention of the Avengers or the world's governments. Now, during this time, Doom starts exploring the multiverse because he still wants to save his mom's soul. But while studying the multiverse, he sees just how unstable all these realities are. He learns about incursions, about anchor beams, and how timelines work. He understands that the TVA are incapable of handling the multiverse, and it's only a matter of time till there's a war between universes and all of reality will collapse.
Countless unique timelines battled each other for supremacy, nearly resulting in the total destruction of, well, everything.
And of course, he must be the one who puts things right. He must become a god to save reality. And this is where his plan goes into motion. In Doom War, Victor incites a civil war in Wakanda by backing the fundamentalists. But in the MCU, Doom secretly approaches the US government, particularly those who already hate the Avengers like President Thunderbolt Ross. And he did it to start a conflict between the world and Wakanda, like how the government wanted to destabilize Wakanda so they could steal their vibranium.
Ever thought what we would be doing if the US was the only country in the world with vibranium?
Oh, I actually dream about that.
But Doom also discovered Namor and the Talokan, so he orchestrated that war in Wakanda Forever to weaken both nations. Now, while Shuri and Namor may have made peace, the damage was done. Also, maybe Doom starts manipulating and creating conflicts in other universes to eliminate any problematic timelines that could threaten his plans. So Doom is waging a secret war on the multiverse without anyone even knowing it.
Amateurs seek the sun, get eaten. Power stays in the shadows.
Maybe when he senses Doctor Strange casting a memory spell to help out his pal Peter Parker, Doom intervenes and messes up that spell. And also, maybe he even manipulates Wanda after the Westview incident to push her into a conflict with the Master of the Mystic Arts. Okay, so maybe these last two would feel a little bit too much like a forced retcon, but I am just putting some ideas out there.
A bill that designates all off-world-born species enemy combatants. We know how to find you. And we will kill every last one of you.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
Anyways, the next stage of his plan is the Celestial in Captain America Brave New World, and the Adamantium is the key to his plan for the multiverse. But before we explain what Doom wants with Adamantium, let's talk about why Doom is going to assemble the Dark Avengers. And it all starts with the Red Hulk. The main villain of Brave New World is the leader. He's this evil genius mastermind. In the comics, the leader was a member of a group of evil geniuses called the Intelligentsia. They were even teased in She-Hulk. The group's founder stole She-Hulk's blood to transform into a discount Hulk. Now, in the comics, Intelligentsia convinced Thunderbolt Ross to become the Red Hulk, and Ross will become the Red Hulk in Brave New World. And get this, Dr. Doom was a member of this group in the comics, so it all connects. Doom is working from the shadows, secretly directing the leader in the movie, and he will use the Red Hulk to destabilize global powers and superheroes. After all, what would the rest of the world do when the President of the United States becomes the Red Hulk? It's chaos.
Chaos is a ladder.
And he's also getting his very own Superman. Lewis Pullman from Top Gun Maverick is playing a character called Bob in the Thunderbolts.
What do they call you?
Bob?
No, your call sign.
Bob.
Yeah, so who's Bob?
Bob is Robert Reynolds, aka the Sentry, created by Paul Jenkins. He is one of the most powerful characters in Marvel Comics, and he has some mental issues, and sometimes he's also a villain. And of course, the Sentry was a member of the Dark Avengers in the comics. Bob was given an enhanced super soldier serum that gave him the power of 1,000,000 exploding suns.
Is that a lot? It's a lot.
And who has the means to make such a powerful serum? Dr. Doom. And this is how the Thunderbolts and Brave New World will connect. The Sentry is another step for the government to create their team of superhumans, but he's really meant to serve Doom. And Marvel Studios teased that the asterisk in the Thunderbolt title is a hint to the Dark Avengers, and Dr. Doom is going to assemble the MCU's version of the team in Doomsday.
But why does he need a team of bad guys?
The Dark Avengers won't just help him take over the world, because he knows that there will be a multiversal war, so he needs an army of superhumans to achieve his goals.
You gonna fight them with me?
That would be beneath me. Such chores are what people like you are for.
So this is how the Doom War story from the comics will work in Doomsday. In Doom War, Doom uses the stolen vibranium to build himself an army of robots. Now, I don't know about you, but I am so over the MCU third act where the Avengers fight a CGI army of lookalike goons. So, the Avengers fighting a team of distinct villains would be so awesome to watch. And this will be a nod to the 80s version of Secret Wars, where the heroes fight a team of villains from Earth while Doom just goes off and plans to become a god. And this brings us to why Doom needs Adamantium to become a god. The Brave New World Comic-Con footage shows that the government discovers Adamantium after harvesting the Celestial's body, which is a pretty big departure from the source material. In the comics, Adamantium doesn't come from the Celestials. It is a man-made alloy forged through a very complicated process.
Because once the metal cools, it's indestructible.
Now, of course, just because Ross got adamantium from Tiamat doesn't mean that the entire celestial shell is made from the mineral. Maybe it's just a small portion that was processed from the armor. This would make the MCU's adamantium rare like it is in the comics. Or maybe this all has something to do with Circe turning Tiamat into stone. But the concept of the Celestial's armor being made out of adamantium isn't far-fetched. In some versions in the comics, the armor is made out of vibranium. So why can't it be adamantium in the MCU? After all, in X-Men Origins Wolverine, adamantium does come from a meteor.
It says it came from the sky.
So, since we believe that the MCU is adapting Doom lore from the comics, our theory is that Marvel will replace the vibranium with adamantium. And do you remember what we said about the special magical attributes of vibranium?
Magic plus vibranium equals Doom God.
Exactly. In Doom War, Doom charged vibranium with magic, and this amplified its energy to limitless potential. And with that, Doom became a godlike being. And that's basically Doom's whole thing in the comics, especially in both versions of Secret Wars. In fact, in 2015 Secret Wars, the multiverse was getting destroyed because of the incursions.
An incursion occurs when the boundary between two universes erodes and they collide, destroying one or both entirely.
Doom steals the power of these godlike beings called the Beyonders, and he uses that energy to create his own reality that he ruled as God Emperor Doom. So, in the MCU, the Celestials could replace the Beyonder. And this is Doom's plan in Doomsday, to use the adamantium to reshape the multiverse into his perfect utopia. And this will make sense with the connection to the Celestials, because remember, according to Ereshkigal, he and the other Celestials created the universe. Now, Ereshkigal might be a big cosmic liar, but the Celestials are cosmic gods who created stars and entire galaxies, so they have this limitless cosmic energy to shape the universe.
I'm what's called a celestial, sweetheart.
A celestial like a god?
In fact, in the comics, the Celestials were born even before the multiverse was created. They originate from the original reality, and they've been involved with the creation of universes with connection to the Infinity Stones, mutants, and the multiverse. They're omnipotent beings with limitless energy. So it fits that in the MCU, their bodies or their armor are made out of adamantium. Because if magically charged adamantium creates limitless power, then that's how the Celestials can do what they do. After all, magic and cosmic energy are not so different. It all goes back to Thor explaining magic to Jane.
Your ancestors called it magic, and you call it science. Well, I come from a place where they're one and the same thing.
And the Ancient One explained that magic is energy that is drawn from the multiverse.
We harness energy drawn from other dimensions of the multiverse to make magic.
And there have been many other connections between magic and the multiverse, and Deadpool and Wolverine might prove this theory. Wade and Logan had to stop the Time Ripper at the end of the film. That's the machine that shreds reality. They do it by containing the Ripper's energy and destroying the machine. Logan stabs his claws into one of the pillars of the Time Ripper, his adamantium claws. Deadpool and Wolverine are able to somehow withstand immense universe-shredding energy and survive without turning into spaghetti. So what if the adamantium works like a conduit for multiversal energy? And Wolverine's adamantium skeleton absorbed most of that universe-ripping antimatter. So instead of that energy going outwards and ripping the universe apart, Wolverine was like a sponge that took all of that energy into his skeleton, and the Time Ripper just overloads because adamantium is what the Celestials are made of. Also, having the adamantium be the MacGuffin in Doomsday will just simplify the story. Because the multiverse is way too overcomplicated, and every time a character explains it, it becomes this long exposition dump that basically halts an entire story. The MCU loves their MacGuffins. It actually makes this simple and easy to follow. Purple Alien Guy needs to collect 6 rocks. Witch uses Evil Book to travel between the universes. Ancient Bad Guy has 10 magic rings. Dr. Doom needs adamantium to control the multiverse. You get the point. Okay, so this is what we see happening in Avengers Doomsday. After Brave New World and the Thunderbolts Asterix, Doom will assemble his Dark Avengers. And to stop him, the new Avengers will assemble. Because in Secret Wars, we'll probably get a multiversal army with many cameos and nostalgia.
I'm about to make a name for myself here.
But before that, there has to be a team that consists of heroes who actually had stories in this saga. But because Deadpool and Wolverine just made so much money, those characters will be in the movie too. There will be a second team in the movie that is the Multiversal Avengers. So we think that Doctor Strange will spend most of the movie traveling to other universes, and he will assemble a team of anchor beings. Heroes like Deadpool, Wolverine, Peter 2, Peter 3, and maybe some others.
Oh my god, he's gonna say it.
Say what?
Avengers Flame on!
Sorry, what now?
Along the way, the Multiversal Avengers will meet the Fantastic Four, and they will be important in the fight against Doom. And together, this team will work on saving the multiverse on their end. Also, for all we know, Galactus might show up. He will be in the Fantastic Four movie, and there is no way Marvel won't bring him back for Doomsday and Secret Wars. Our theory is that Galactus is this force of balance in the multiverse. He eats worlds that threaten the stability of the multiverse, and this is why he will come to consume Earth 616. Because of what Doom is doing. So while that happens, the Dark Avengers will keep the Avengers busy on Earth 616, while Doom creates a machine that can magically charge adamantium so he could steal the energy of the Celestials. He could even create this super cosmic adamantium armor like in Doom War. Anyways, the Avengers will fail to stop Doom, and he'll achieve his plan to get ultimate power. He will use all of that limitless energy to end the multiverse and create his perfect universe. But just before the multiverse ends, Strange and his team will arrive on Earth 616 as reality blinks out of existence. And that is the cliffhanger ending of Doomsday. And in Secret Wars, the Avengers will team up with the multiverse heroes against Doom. But in this new universe, Doom controls the very fabric of reality, so he is God Emperor Doom. And what would be really cool is if Doom's universe has an altered timeline, like in the 2015 Secret Wars. So Doom erased the memories of everybody who lived in his new world. So only a few heroes have memories from their past lives. And this way we could get that soft MCU reboot. Because in Secret Wars, the new Avengers will unite with the multiverse heroes, and they will rise and dethrone Doom. In the end, the multiverse will be reborn, but everything will be different on Earth 616, because it will have a new history after Doom erased the previous one. And that is how we get the Mutant Saga, a new cast, and a brand new MCU. So what do you guys think about our theory? How do you think the MCU will connect adamantium to the Celestials, and will we ever see Dark Avengers? Big shout out to the writer and editor of this video, Pavel T. You can find his links below. And guys, let us know your thoughts down in the comments or at me on Twitter. And if it's your first time here, welcome to the channel. Please subscribe, smash that bell for alerts. For ScreenCrush, I'm Ryan Airy.